Wuthering Waves version 2.3 is slowly wrapping up, and as usual, we are taking a look back at the entire updates. Was it fire, was it mid, or just plain disappointing? And since this was also the anniversary patch, there's a whole lot riding on it, so yeah, it definitely deserves a full breakdown. And by the end of this video, I'll be sharing my final thoughts on the whole version, along with a few things that go beyond just the update itself. So if you're into this kind of content, go ahead and like the video, drop your thoughts about version 2.3 in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos. Alright, let's get into it. Now, this version came packed with a ton of events, but here's the thing, most of them fall into two categories. One that simply hands out reward and one that we actually get to participate in. And since you all already know my opinion about the anniversary rewards themselves, in this video I'll be focusing on the events that involve real interaction or gameplay. That means I'll be covering things like the Cubie Derby warm-up, the anniversary photo collection, the gilded night markets, the gifts of grand celebration, grand reunion, and melodic verses, beyond the waves, or the upgraded returning events. Those are pretty much just login and claim events, so we're skipping those and focusing on the rest. Alright, so let's start with the Cube, Cubic, and Cubie events. The core idea is that you're taking part in the second coming of Solaris. You enter this machine, and once inside, you turn into a cube. Now, inside this machine, you encounter familiar characters, but here's the twist. They're all recreated from your memories, and just like you, they've also been transformed into cubes. The story centers around an evil cube called a Bowser, and your mission is to progress through various towers or levels, facing the challenges that a Bowser throws at you. You keep pushing forward level by level until you eventually confront a Bowser at the end, which leads to a short cinematic that wraps up everything nicely. Now, what's my take about this event? So, I have to say, when I first saw that version 2.3 would revolve around cubes, I really wasn't on board. I've never been a fan of the whole cube concept. I just felt like they could have done something more interesting. But at the same time, I guess that some people might find the cube aesthetic cute or lighthearted. As for the Cube, Cubic, and Cubie event itself, it turned out exactly how I expected. It wasn't exciting and it wasn't all that enjoyable, but it also wasn't terrible. It was the kind of event I played through without forcing myself, just something I did finish and moved on from. The levels were okay honestly, maybe even slightly good, and the rewards weren't bad either. I think they gave us around 1,000 astrites, which is decent. And if you've seen my previous videos on the Wuthering Waves writing, then you already know how I feel about the final cinematic. Spoiler, I did not like it. But overall, I wouldn't call this event good, but I wouldn't call it bad either. It sat right in the middle. If I had to rate it, I'd give it a 6 out of 10. Nothing special, but it was fine. The next thing I want to talk about is the Zani companion quest, and honestly, this one was pretty great. But before I get into my thought, let me quickly break it down. The quest focuses on Zani herself, and at one point in Reguna, before we even showed up, Zani used to secretly go out at night helping people. Basically, she was Reguna's version of Batman. She stopped crimes, lent a hand wherever she could, and just generally be a low-key superhero. At one point, she even took down an entire organization, and after that, the people who saw her in action started calling her the Blazing Nightwalker. So now, in this companion quest, that same organization is trying to come back, and it's up to you and Zani to make sure that it doesn't happen, to stop them from rebuilding and keep them buried for good. That's the general setup of the story. Now here's how I feel about it. The quest started off really weak. Honestly, the beginning was kind of boring. It felt like they were trying to set up the scene and build the story, but it just didn't land at first. I get what they were going for, and I think that they did the best they could with the setup, but it was very slow. But then, things started picking up the moment we entered the enemy organization's building. From that point on, the pacing got better, and by the end of the quest, it actually became pretty engaging. The fight with the villain, the cinematic, the QTE sequence, it all made things feel way more insane. Now, a quick side note. We all know the QTEs in Wuthering Waves don't really do much. Whether you hit them or not, the outcome is the same. But I still really appreciate the illusion of control. Like, it's not a bad idea to include them, it adds to the drama. That said, if they're really going to keep using QTEs, I feel like they should actually matter. Imagine if missing them led to a slightly different animation or a mini fail state. It wouldn't take much and it would make scenes much more interactive. Right now, it just feels kind of empty, and the worst part is this isn't the first time we've done QTEs in Wuthering Waves. So I feel like if they don't really want to make the QTEs interactive, they shouldn't use it at all. But if they want to use it, then making them interactive is something they need to think about moving forward. Anyway, tangent over, let's get back to the review. Alright, so beside the QTEs, there was also this cool comic strip that told Zani's story, like her journey since she started working in Alvarado Bank, and this really pushed the idea of Zani being a superhero, and honestly, I like that. It gave her character a lot more depth. Overall, Zani's quest wasn't bad at all, it was actually pretty good, but I can't give it a high rating just because the ending was strong. For me, the best quests are the ones that stay consistently good from start to finish, and as great as the ending was, the quest didn't really start off well. That said, I do think the Zani quest is a step up from some of the others. The Rochia quest wasn't great, Brant's was just okay, and even Carlotta's quest was kind of average. The last time I really enjoyed a companion quest was way back in Hongjiang. I'm talking Jian's quest, Encore's quest. Those were really deep and really fun. So I appreciate that Zani's quest is bringing back some of that fun vibe. So if I were to give it a rating, I'd say it would be around a 7 or maybe even a 7.5 out of 10. Like I said, it didn't start great, so it can go higher than that. Next up is the Cubie Derby spectator event, and honestly, this might be the worst event in Wuthering Waves history. I just don't get how anybody enjoys it. It is basically watching a horse race, but with cubes. You're not really doing anything, just sitting there watching cubes race and betting on which one will win. Now, what bothers me most is that this kind of event is being shown to kids. As I said earlier, the whole setup is like a horse race, and the culture behind horse races, especially when it is tied to entertainment, is that it is heavily tied to gambling. Everyone knows horse races to be all about betting money and on who will win, and that's definitely not something that kids should be exposed to or encouraged to think is normal. So yeah, it's not just a boring event, it's got this underlying issue of promoting gambling behavior, even if it is subtle, even if they don't even realize it themselves. There's really nothing redeeming about this event, it is just bad. I rate it a 3 or a 4 out of 10. Definitely not something I want to see again. So after all these events I just talked about, there was a pretty long break, like a whole week before the next 2 events came in, and honestly, these 2 events really lifted the whole version for me. I want to say that up front. Before I give my final thoughts on the entire version at the end of the video, I'll say that right now I'm feeling like the version overall is about a 5 out of 10. Pretty average, nothing really big or crazy so far. But these 2 events I'm about to talk about definitely pushed the rating up a bit. I just wanted to mention that before diving into them. So, the next event I want to talk about is the Your Summer Will Never Wither story event, which also doubles as a Chacona companion event. Now, this one is a bit fresh, so I won't spoil too much for you. But basically, you're with Chacona going over some past events in Reguna, and honestly, this story event is really important for what's coming next in Reguna. That's what I want to say about the story for now, but how do I feel about it? Like I said, this event is super important for the future of Renacita's story, but if you're expecting battles or fights, you won't get that here. It's all about the story, and honestly, you'll only enjoy this event if you've played all the other Renacita stories before this. If you jump in without context just because it is a Cachona companion quest, it will not be fun. So I recommend going through other Renacita events first, because that background is really needed. That said, I still think that this quest is pretty great. It's packed with reference to past quests, lots of lore related stuff, things about the Order, Cachona herself, and most importantly, a lot of information about Cristoforo. It really got me hyped for what's coming next in Renacita's story. So for what it is, I give this quest an 8 out of 10. It's solid and promising for what's ahead. And now, the next event to me is the best in this entire version, and the saving grace when it comes to events. The Dreaming Deep endgame. I believe it's by far the best endgame content because it's basically a revamp of the Elusive Realm. Something Wuthering Waves have been promising us for the last 2 versions. The problem with the Elusive Realm before was that it was repetitive. I mean, it was fun and cool, but it got repetitive. What Dreaming Deep does is that it takes what we had with the Elusive Realm and puts a story and other mechanics about it. So now, it's like playing the Elusive Realm but with more stuff attached to it. And I think that's really, really nice. This is a solid revamp and a great addition to the game. And on top of all that, they even added the Dream Link concepts into the Dreaming Deep. It's like they took all those ideas they've been sprinkling across different events in Wuthering Waves and brought everything together in the Dreaming Deep, and honestly, I think that is really cool. But here's what I have to say about the Dreaming Deep. First, it is buggy. Sometimes I go into the field and the player character doesn't appear. Other times the enemies don't show up for like a second or 2. Those are bugs that really need fixing. Second, they designed the Dreaming Deep so new ideas can be easily added. One misstep they made with Dreaming Deep was removing the ecosystem that made the Elusive Realm so fun in the first place. That whole system really gave the mode its identity, and taking it out kind of took away some of that magic. And while the Dreaming Deep does give us some more characters to play with, I get why some people wouldn't like the random selection. I mean, not everyone wants to be forced into using characters that they didn't pick. Some folks just want to run their favorite characters, and that randomness makes it hard to do that. But still, the way it's built makes it flexible, and I hope they keep adding more content to it. Right now, there are basically 2 or 3 types of events you can do in the Dreaming Deep. Story events, battle events, and boss fights. Those are the main action parts. Sure, there are other events that give energy and do other things, but those 3 are where the action is. I really hope they keep expanding with more events to make the end game even better. Other than the bugs and the current limited events, I think the Dreaming Deep is a solid endgame. I'd rate it a strong 7.5 or an 8 out of 10 even. And I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the Hologram Boss fights, especially the Fleur-de-Lis and the Lorelei boss fights. Now, I haven't really participated in the Hologram Boss fights as much as I like, but like with most Hologram Boss fights, I think this is one of the best endgame features in the game. I've heard a lot of people complain about the Lorelei boss fight, saying it's too hard or not fun. But honestly, I heard the same complaints about the Hecate boss fights too. And when I played the Hecate boss fight, sure, it was difficult, but it wasn't crazy hard like some people made it out to be. So I feel like people will always complain about these fights, but I also believe they're necessary. They're a good way to test your accounts and see if you're building your characters right. So now that we've spoken about all the events, there are 2 big questions that need answering. What's my overall rating of the 2.3 anniversary version, and what do I really think about this version? When it comes to my rating for this version, as I said, before the 2 new events dropped, there was a 5 out of 10, maybe even less. But with these 2 new events, the rating definitely goes up. I'd say it's about a 6.5 out of 10, and the reason is, as good as these events are, they just aren't enough to fully save this version. So yeah, a 6.5 out of 10 feels right to me. And the next question is, what do I feel about the 2.3 anniversary version? Honestly, I have to say that it is the worst version in the entire 2.x series. Like I said before, and I'll say it again, this one really missed the mark. It's just not good. Whether you look at the rewards or the events, it's all really lacking. Definitely not what I expected from the Wuthering anniversary. Now, I've heard rumors that maybe there were behind the scenes issues. Maybe it wasn't Kuro Games' fault, maybe it was Tencent or something else. But at the end of the day, what I got as a player just wasn't good enough. And I'd be remiss if I didn't compare this anniversary to the Zenless Zone Zero anniversary that we got. Now, before I go any further, I want to be clear. I don't really care about the rewards themselves. I think I've said this in another video or a post. But honestly, the rewards don't matter to me. What matters is what those rewards say about the team behind the game. Like, we all know the Genshin Impact team comes off as pretty complacent based on the rewards they give their players. And that shows how they feel about their community. On the flip side, the Zenless Zone Zero team comes off as total gigachads because of how they treat their players and the kind of rewards they drop. If you watch the Zenless Zone Zero livestream and saw the rewards, you see they gave players a ton. 30 pulls, a free standard 5-star, a free 5-star weapon, a new outfit for the proxies, a full game revamp, and so much more. Now, some people argue that Wuthering Waves has done stuff like that before, and yes, they have. But here's the thing, they didn't do that for the anniversary, and that matters. The anniversary is when we expect these big moves. It's the time we expect to feel appreciated and rewarded. But as a Wuthering Waves player, going through this anniversary, I didn't feel that at all, not even close. That's the big difference between Zenless Zone Zero and Wuthering Waves here. Beyond the fact that Zenless Zone Zero's rewards were just bigger and better, like how you can customize proxies with different outfits and accessories, stuff we don't have for the Rover who's basically been stuck wearing the same thing for a year, the timing is what really counts. If you don't come through on your anniversary, no matter what you did before, it's going to leave a bad taste. Honestly, this anniversary really puts Kuro Games in a tough spot. Unless I see some big changes going forward, it puts Wuthering Waves in a place I don't want it to be. So with a new livestream coming up, I really hope Kuro Games does enough to turn that around. And again, I have to say this, I do not care about the rewards, like I really don't. But I believe a gacha game has to constantly show its players that they care. Because we give so much to these games, with every pull, with every weapon, with every story that we play. It's only fair that the company shows us they care back. Any team that doesn't do that leaves a bad taste, and I don't want Kuro to ever be in that category. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the live stream, and maybe, just maybe, we may live stream it together. I'm not making any promises, but there are plans in the works. But now, I want to hear from you. What do you think about everything? About my rating, the anniversary, all of it? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Tell me what you feel. And as always, I'll catch you in the next one.